How? Ndewo umum ibem. Hey, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? So typically I want to do these on hear me by the way. Typically I want to do these on my phone, but it's between getting to have a thumbnail and if I do it on my thumbnail or if I do it on my phone, it's hard to have thumbnails. If I do it on my laptop, there's a chance of this thing cutting off for no reason. So if it does cut off, I'll just restart it and on my phone this time, and we'll be fine from there. Which isn't new if you guys are returning to this channel. I wanted to use natural light, but this is kind of dark, so give me just a second. Let me go turn on something real quick. Okay, it's a little better. Oh yeah, Ibem. How are you guys doing? Keduka Unude. I am going to see. We are going to start once we get 10 people in here. I'm going to try to be relatively quick because, like I said, this thing can cut off at any minute since I'm using my laptop. There's one person in the room. We got two. We are beginning when we hit 10. As always, if you have been watching the Medicine Shell for a while or you are new, the best way to support the channel is on patreon.com/the medicine shell. My patrons have access to my full e-library, though the stories I'm going to be telling today come from this book in particular, and I recommend it to everybody. It's called African Spirituality, an anthology of Igbo religious myth, right? The author is Udo Bata R. Onunwa. Hey, your channel is very informative. Thank you for spreading great info and dispelling concepts. Mr. or Mrs. Rude Mechanicals, Udodi, I thank you. Snapple and Cats. All right, Snapple and Cats is here, so it's official. Snapple and Cats, Udo, Kedukidi, Ngozi family, Chukwu Gozie Enyi Nwanne, Chukwu Gozie Enyi Nwanne, Gold Gossip. Chandi Ndewo. You know what? I'm gonna post this on Facebook and IG and all of that. So, but we're gonna begin once we get 10 people in here. I haven't posted it elsewhere, so let me do that so that because this topic is might be controversial, right? Like iPhone. We are live. Join us as I share two stories as to why Chukwu ordained away from the battlefield. So today's topic, when I read these two stories, they cracked me up, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I'm going to be sharing two stories on, or what they call akụkọ ifo. I'm going to be sharing two stories on why Chukwu ordained that women should stay out of the battlefield. All right, let me post this first and foremost. Post it on Patreon for the for Ndieze. You know, the patrons are Ndieze when it comes to the medicine show. All right, and publish. How many we got? We got 5. We are going to begin once we hit 10 people. When we get 10 people in here, we are going to begin. I wonder if there's a way I can prop up this book. So that how can I do this? No, it's not gonna happen. It's all good. Maybe next time. I'm here for egusi soup and jollof rice. Wow, I hope you're not eating them at the same time. You'll be wouldn't make too much sense. But Ndewo, Miss Ha Ha Ha. How am I supposed to say your name? Ha 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 Ndewo. Chandi. It's always good seeing you guys. It's always good seeing you guys. We are at 9. But we're at 4 likes. So I said we're going to begin once we hit 10, right? But we are at 4 likes. I don't know why. Let's go ahead and up the ante. We are at 10. He said there's 6 likes. There are 4 people who haven't done their job. So if you're in the chat right now, hit like. It helps the channel. It helps the stream. I want to get a lively discussion going. And the more of you hit like, the more I believe YouTube shares it to other people. We are at 9 and 8. Once we hit 10:10, we're going to go. Let me see if I can post this on Twitter before we officially hit 10:10. I'm not looking at the screen right now, so when I look back, if we're at 10:10, I'm going to begin. I'm trying to find Twitter. A little bit Twitter. No. Okay, just posted this one. This is, well, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, there we go. Hopefully, this is the right link. I'm going to check back to see if we're at 10:10. We are at 10:09. There's one person in here who has not hit like. If you're in the chats, hit like. Things went back. I don't know why. I'm not going to play around too much on this laptop. We're at 13:10. You say, oh yeah, all right. So I'm going to be sharing a story from this book here. It is African Spirituality, an anthology of Igbo religious myth. My good buddy Onyemobi recommended this book for me. We had a chat, or he came to the live stream. I think it was the last one or two streams ago, to share that he had an Odinani book club. So if you're interested, message me. I'll send you a link to his book club. We're at 14:10. All right, we're killing it. So these two stories explain why women are banned from the battlefield. Before we begin, if you are on Twitter, if you are on Instagram, share the link to this. I think you can even share things on YouTube. So share it on YouTube. I want to see if we can get a discussion going on in here, because to me, these particular stories are kind of humorous. All right. So as always, we are going to begin the proper way. Now, what I'm going to perform is known as Iwaji, right? The cutting of the Aji. Today I am using the bitter cola, right? Bitter cola counts as Aji. As the name implies, this thing is super bitter. By the way, some of you guys say, oh, I'm going to buy Aji, which is fine, but don't think you're eating Aji because of the taste. So if any, this is medicine first and foremost, right? So I'm performing Iwaji. Now, wherever the Aji is presented, right, our ancestors are present, because this class of fruits are what our ancestors chose, and nuts, I believe this is a nut, chose in Obi Chukwu to represent the connection between them, Chukwu, and us, who are Ndindu, those people who are alive, right? So every Igbo meeting, right? I know a lot of you guys say, oh, my mom is Catholic, my dad is Anglican. No matter what they believe, they're going to begin the meeting with Iwaji, which is if guests come over, if you have a gathering of people, so on and so forth, you know. All right, even doing Iwaji at church back home. So let me go ahead and begin. Ndewo unu ndị mba chi ndewo nwanne m. Oya ka anyị bido. Okike kere ụwa, ọjị abịala. Anyị ji obiọma na-ekele gị. Alawa ala, ala bụ nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Anyị ji ọjị na-ekele gị. Ọjị anyị ji ike, anyị ji ekele ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Mmụọ na-esoro anyị, na mmụọ na-ele anyị n'ala mmụọ, na-enye anyị ije, na-enye anyị ndụ, na-enye anyị ihe ọma dị n'ụwa. Ma a sị na onye butara ọjị pụtara ndụ, mana ọjị ike ịnụ na-ele, ọ bụ ndụ ka m ji n'aka. Anyị ji ya na-ekele unu niile, ma ndị ichie unu niile, ma ndị ichie nke m. Ọ ga-adị nnọọ anyị ga-eji ọjị ike na-eri ndụ, na-eri udo, na-eri ike ụwa, na-eri nke ọbụla Chineke kere ka anyị ri n'ụwa, ka anyị mee nke okike kere ka anyị mee n'ụwa. Ọ ga-adị nnọọ na eke, na orie, na afọ, na nkwọ. Ise. All right, I'm waiting for the Ises. There's probably a back delay or something. Gold Gossip says I need to sign up for Igbo class. All right, so go to www.kedu.me. We actually just started the summer courses. So if you want to wait till September for the full course, then you can go ahead and sign up now, and it'll start September for you. Or you can sign up for the language coach, which is like half the price of a full class, and you can start whenever. You say, I want to, you received it. Oh yeah, and then it wouldn't be your RG if I don't why the RG, if I don't cut the RG. So there we go. I would eat some. In fact, I will eat some, but it's super dry, so I'm gonna lose my voice while doing so. Oh yeah, I be there. 100 there. Okay, awesome. Go gossip. We're gonna love to have you. You're gonna love our coach too. My name is Uju. And our instructor, if you sign up for a full class, Chimeze, he's actually a folklorist. Chimeze is a folklorist. I've been trying to get him on the channel, and he's always busy. So, and actually, he teaches class right now. So eventually, I'm going to get drag Chimeze onto the channel. But Chimeze is a folklorist, and he has a Spotify channel called Egwonwa, which is Tales by Moonlight, where he tells different folklore and stories like this, like I'm sharing. They are in Igbo. So if you're interested in learning Igbo, even if you can't hear what he's saying, listen to them over and over and over and over and over. After a while, you'll begin picking up what's happening. You'll begin learning the language. But they are in Igbo. They are in some of the most immaculate Igbo you'll ever hear in your life. So go ahead and Igwonwa. I'm trying. He's super. Adeze says he's super dope. Okay, I think you guys just finished class. Yeah, Adeze, drag if you're talking if Chimeze is, I don't know if you guys are still in class or what, but drag him on here if so. But I gotta get Chimeze on here. I'm gonna post this channel. I don't want to mess with this too much because if I mess, it'll cut off and then the whole thing will be ruined. But yeah, Chimeze is super dope, as she said. Join the class, join the class, join the class. So the two stories I'm going to tell come from African spirituality, an anthology of Igbo religious myths. And they explain why women are kept from the battlefield, why women are not allowed to be on the battlefield. I can't hear the neighbor kid. The neighbor. The neighbor kid, I'm inside now, so I talk crazy, but the neighbor kid and I have become good friends. He's actually around my son's age. Um, he comes over, actually. He comes over to play with my son. Or, well, he specifically said to play with my son's toys. So, but yeah, his parents actually talked to him about that incident, and I think he's chill now. We're cool now. Well, that's my boy. That's my boy. He's a good kid. All right, we're going to go ahead and begin. So, I'm going to give you guys two options. There are two stories I'm going to tell, right? There is, how can I word them? How can I word them? The savage one and the sexual one. All right. So you guys tell me which one you want to hear. I'm going to take a quick vote. Or we want to hear first. There's two stories that explain why women are not allowed to go into the battlefield. There's the savage story and the sexual story. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Chan says savage. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all got to be quick too, because like I said, I'm on my laptop and sometimes my laptop cuts off for no reason when it comes to streams. So I think I got one vote for savage. I'm going to start with the savage one. Okay. So I'm going to put this next to me so I don't miss any beats, because I want to tell the story exactly how I received. I'm surprised about the sexual savage. Then it's like everybody's saying savage, savage. All right. So you guys want the savage one. All right. So let me find it. She said stay. Aha. Okay. So according to our ancestors, right? According to our ancestors, in the very beginnings of time, the very beginnings of human civilization, men and women used to go to battle together. In fact, oftentimes the women were so pumped and ready to fight that the men would actually hold their bags and follow them into battle. So the men were carrying the bags, the women were marching in the front, right? And this is just how it was. The world, the human beings, Ndiowa, did not know any other way. That men and women enter battle together, right? But Chukwu began noticing that there was a problem. Chukwu began seeing that the children were being left alone while mom and dad, nana, were off fighting in battle, right? And the children were all alone, raising themselves, hungry, crying, so on and so forth, right? So Chukwu decided to take a look at what was happening on the battlefield so that he could make a quick decision, right? So Chukwu looked as a group of men and women entered battle. And he saw that the women were more serious about battle. They were more dedicated to battle. That this was really their thing. They loved it, right? And that the men, they were doing all right, but they weren't as in it as the women, right? So Chukwu said, okay, how about the men stay home and watch the children and protect the family and the household while the women go off into battle, right? And so Ndiowa agreed, right? And they say, Onyekwe, Chiekwe, what you permit or what you will, Chi will permit and will. Your Chi, the Chi, however you want to put it, right? So there was an incident where a neighboring community attacked this community that I'm speaking of, all right? They didn't kill anybody, but they did a lot of damage. They destroyed a lot of property and they ran off. Just a quick strike, right? As Chukwu instructed, the women said, okay, it's time for us to shine. So the women went into battle, right? They attacked the village with so much fierceness that everybody in the enemy village ran away, right? But the women were still able to catch some of them. In fact, the women killed 10 people, returned their heads home from battle, right? Burned down every single house that they saw, killed all the livestock, destroyed the fields, anything they saw, they pillaged to the ground, right? This is how, again, remember, the women had the fight in them. They had the fight in them more than the men, right? Now, while they were doing this, the men were at home discussing politics and discussing how to make money, right? That's what they were doing. They were relaxing, they were having a good time, discussing politics, discussing how to make money. And Chukwu saw that men tend to take life a little more easily than women, right? And so the women returned home from this victorious battle. They just won. They brought home 10 heads. But the women were very sad, right? Chukwu did not see a single happy face on the women. They returned and they were disappointed in themselves. And they went to Chukwu and they said, battle, we won, but we only returned with 10 heads. We only killed 10 people. And Chukwu was perplexed. He said, okay, this woman of a creature I've made is a very unique thing, all right? And so Chukwu had another idea. And so there was another battle, right? Maybe this is another village, right? They come and attack, wow, and they run off. They don't cause too much damage, but it's an attack and it's an attack. So Chukwu says, okay, Umunwai, the women, you guys stay home, and Umunwoke, the men, you guys go to battle this time. So the men dropped what they were doing, talking about politics and making money, right? And they went into battle, and they fought, and the people of the village ran away, right? They retreated from the battlefield, and the men killed one person, and they took the head of that one person, and they were so happy that they killed that one person in battle that they began singing Enyimba Enyi Nsogbu Enyimba Enyi Odogu Enyimba Enyi Nsogbu Enyimba Enyi Odogu. Enyimba Enyi is a war song for many of the Igbo communities, right? Enyimba is like the elephant of the people. Enyimba, Enyimba, Enyi, right? If you're from Aba, it's actually from that Aba area, kind of Ngwa, Aba, Abreba area, right? If you know geography well. Till this day, the Aba, their soccer team is Enyimba FC, right? Their soccer team, that kind of thing. So Enyimba, Enyi, that means like the elephant of the people, right? I'm the elephant of the people. Enyi also means friend. So maybe there's a tie, who knows? And it's what you sing when you win or when you're victorious in battle or when you're ready to go to battle to get you charged up, right? Odogu is like a hero or a general or a war leader. So when they say Enyimba Enyi Odogu, Enyimba Enyi Odogu, Enyimba Enyi Odogu, they're saying that they themselves are Odogu. And when they say Enyimba Enyi Nsobu, Nsobu is trouble, right? That they are trouble. They're bringing trouble, right? Enyimba Enyi. So the men came back there celebrating. They had that one head. We did it. Enyimba Enyi, Enyimba Enyi. And Chukwu saw this situation and made a decision. Chukwu said from now on, right, the men will go into battle and the women will stay home and protect the children and watch after the home. And Chukwu then on that day gave man the gun. He gave man a gun and said that when every young man comes of age, he should be awarded a gun. And that when every young or a man is born, a young man is born, he should be shown a gun, right? You should show a male baby a gun as a part of their process of growth as a baby, right? That type of thing. And to the women, he gave a kitchen knife, right? And said, this will be your instrument, right? And so the women wondered why. They only brought one head, we brought 10, right? I could not have predicted any part of the story. They brought 10 heads. We brought 10 heads, they only brought one. And Chukwu said that if I gave Umunwai, the women, the gun, they would wipe out the entire human race. Because women are difficult to satisfy. But men are easily satisfied by simple things. So that tiny little victory was enough for them, right? Whereas the women brought back 10 and they still weren't satisfied. So rather than take that energy and use it to kill people, let's use that energy to feed and cook and sustain people. And this is why Chukwu has ordained that no battlefield should feature women, that before battle, men should not sleep with their wives, wives do not sleep with your husbands, and that in the preparation for battle, women should not touch men. Okay, so that is story number one. That is the savage story. Women were so damn savage that they were banned from the battlefield. Hell have no fury like a woman scored. I did say, yes, which is very funny because in the West, things like that are associated with men, right? Fighting is a male thing, But at home, diplomacy is seen as masculine. The person who can settle an issue is the masculine person. There's a fighting element to young men, right? But the will to fight is most definitely stronger in women. And anybody who lives in a communal society will see it, right? A lot of what we say in the West comes from the fact that we're all boxed up watching TV, right? That kind of thing. It's interesting. All right, let me read some of you guys' comment. Chukwu said, oh, y'all, y'all wildin', oh God. I like that. Chukwu said, y'all wildin'. Really interesting to see these folk tales. Would love to know your sources for them. Are they available on your Patreon? Yes. So I have a folder in the Patreon, www.patreon.com/Themedicineshell. It's tagged up top. There's a folder with folklore and folk tales in them. So I'm going to be sharing some of them on this channel. I share them in our live discussions as well. When we have live discussions in the Patreon, a live group study, that kind of thing. But this particular story comes from this book. It is African Spirituality, an anthology of Igbo religious myths, right? Of Igbo religious myths. So there's a lot of good ones in there. I'm going to share a lot from here as the channel goes. I'm going to share a lot from the folder in the Patreon. So whichever one you want to get a hold of, go for it, right? Let me see. The gun part is interesting. Did this norm come along with guns, or was it a different weapon before? Very good story. Guns have been in Igbo land for probably about 500 to 400 years. So it would be hard to say that it came before because it's hard to trace things from before that point. But perhaps the older version said knife or sword, right? Perhaps the older version said knife or sword. But yes, it says gun. But a gun is not a new thing in Igbo land. It's not. I think we talked about this in the last chat, that kind of thing, or the last live. Chukwu was right. Women are never satisfied. Adeze said per. Chad is giving me a look. Honestly, when people type SKSK, what does that mean? Is it like I don't know, or is that like a laugh? Thank you. I'm writing a book based. Oh, awesome. Okay, get this book. It is a really good one, and they're well organized by topic. And then, of course, the Patreon has a whole bunch of them. There's a whole folder. And then in the recommended folder, a lot of the books are packed. The books in the recommended folder are packed with different mythology and things like that. There's one particular one I'm looking for. It's in the folder, and I can't find which document it's in. but it was about how a person wanted to know what Chukwu knew, a human did. And then they had to do a whole bunch of brutal stuff, like pull out one of their eyes and all this stuff. So I'm looking for that one in there. If any other patrons bump into that one, let me know. Let me know. I'm gonna read a few more comments if I go to the next one. Is that book in your Patreon library? No, this book is not. Let me not misguide anybody. This book is not in my Patreon library. The Patreon library is only ebooks. Ebooks. So some of the books I have in there have folklores in them, like just especially in the recommended folder. Almost everything in the recommended folder, unless it's short, has a like folklore inside of it. But then there's also specifically a folklore folder. So any document that has a folklore in it, I'll put it in there. So that kind of thing. Yeah. So let's see here. Thank you. I'm writing a book. Gold, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that book turns out. That is phenomenal. I love that. That is awesome. All right. So I've told the savage story. Now I'm going to tell the sexual story. Okay. All right. So I kept a little notes so that I don't miss any of the beats. So I'm going to do him. Okay. Yeah. This one's a little less dramatic. Okay. Awesome. So in the beginning of time, again, like the first story. And one of the things you're going to notice with Igbo stories and even beyond Igbo culture into related cultures roughly from the area is that they will have these stories where the same thing kind of happens. It's almost like different versions of the same story, but they're not different versions of the same story. And some of the details will be the same. And those are the important parts. Those are where you really pick things up. The sequence of events will be similar, but there will be details that are identical. Right? The story, right, of why Chukwu forbade women from going to the battlefield starts with a time where men and women used to go into battle side by side. Women would be the side of men would be in the side of women, and they would fight together in battle, right? They would fight together without a problem. And again, the children were left at home to fend for themselves. Some were hungry, some were alone, some were scared, some did not know what was going on because mother or father and mother were off fighting battle together, right? But Chukwu noticed something was going on in the battlefield that was annoying Anna, the earth mother, right? The earth. I say the earth mother, but Anna is earth. It just means earth. Allah. In my dialect, say Ali. You understand? Which is why I say Anna, because Allah, that the Anambra, the way the Anambra people say is hard for me to say. So I say Anna, which is the Abia State version, and the Mbise. Okay. So that's a long story. So Chukwu noticed something that was annoying Anna, right? Was that the men and women would go into battle and they would prepare for an ambush. And before the ambush would happen, they would begin sleeping with each other, right? This didn't just happen once. It didn't just happen twice. This happened again and again and again and again. And this annoyed Anna, the earth. She hated this, right? Because it was a desecration of her. Because in Iwala, the laws of Anna, right? The laws of the land, a man and a woman are not to sleep with each other at night in a forest. She's very against this concept, right? You'll come to find she's very strict about these things. You understand? So men and women would enter battle together. They would sleep with each other. They would forget about the fight. They would enter again. They would sleep with each other. They would forget about the fight. So Anna reached out to the Dibias of the community and told them to warn the men and the women from doing what they are doing, which is sleeping with each other in battle. So the Dibias went to the men and the Dibias went to the women and said, please, you guys have to stop this thing that you're doing. It is annoying the earth. And when Anna is annoyed, there is hell to pay, right? Just a little detour. So you'll notice with any story involving the Albara, or a lot of stories involving the Albara, the female Albara, just like the previous story, when they punish you, it is 10 times more brutal than when the male ones punish you, right? So if you think about Igwe, the sky, and how Igwe punishes, a person gets struck by lightning, or is it thunder? Thunder. A person gets struck by thunder, right? and they drop. That's one person hit. Maybe if they're holding somebody, holding 10 people, they get hit, but that's it. But if you annoy Anna and she opens up, your whole town will get swallowed in, right? So that's the difference between annoying one over annoying the other. You do not annoy the female Abara. They punish in totality and they give in totality as well. They're not stingy when giving, right? So the DBS warned the men and the women that they are defiling the earth, that they should stop doing what they're doing. And the men and the women refused. They continued, they continued, and they continued until finally Chukwu intervened and said, "You guys need to stop having sex in battlefield, right? If you want to sleep with each other, I'll make a new rule that newlyweds for 1 year do not have to enter battle. That they can stay home no matter what's going on. The man and the woman can stay home if they are newlywed for the first year, right? But that from now on, only the men will enter battle and the women will stay home to keep them from sleeping with each other and desecrating the earth. And from that day on, women and children became what is known as non-belligerents, right? So to compensate women, right, for their loss, because they like to fight, to compensate them for their loss, Chukwu made another rule that no warrior, nobody in war should ever kill a woman, one, or kill a child, two. And in particular, because Anna herself decrees this, no killing of pregnant women. That is the one of the highest forms of abomination, is the killing of a pregnant woman, right? So Chukwu made these rules that women do not fight, but at the same time, women cannot be killed in battle. And today, even it's hard to say till this day, but because even during the Biafra War, women fought too, but not often. Uh, the Typically women will end up being the communicators between the communities, especially if there's a woman from one community who's married into another, and they're fighting. The women become the messengers back and forth because they are immune from being attacked. And that is the sexual reason why men and women do not enter battle together anymore. Reason number one, the women were too savage. Reason number two, we were collectively too horny. Is the audio cutting out? Oh, I hate this laptop. It just does that. My apologies. It went out briefly, but you can hear it clearly now. Okay, I hope there wasn't an important part of the story you guys missed, because that's it. Those are the two reasons. I wanted to keep this one short because I can't do it on my phone, so it's going to cut quick. So I think we can hang out until if anybody has questions or anything they want to bring up. And then there's some things I'll discuss as well. And then from there, when the vibe dies down, we will cut this thing off. But yeah, so these two, when you're looking at folklore, again, this comes from the book. I'm going to say this for a 10th time for anybody that's new. African Spirituality, an anthology of Igbo religious myths. So if you are looking at folklore, one of the important things about folklore, especially with older or ancient people, is it lets you know the rationale or how they think, right? Or how they see the world. Another thing to pay attention to is the small details, right? So in both of these stories, things begin from a point where men and women go together. And a lot of Igbo stories begin that way. Men and women are doing the same thing, and then a differentiation happens because that idea didn't work, right? I have another story about why women, I can never say this word right. I always say menstruate. Why women have menstrual cycles and men don't, right? So let you guys let me know if you guys want to hear that one, and that, I think I'll tap out. I found an ebook copy of it. Adeze, awesome. That's good. Adeze, I don't know if you want to share a link or what. Oh snap, Adeze, where? It went out briefly. Okay, cool. But yeah, if you guys wanted me to share the story of why women have cycles and men don't, I'm all for it. It didn't post. No, we don't see the link, Adeze. We don't see the link. She said yes. Coffee and cake said yes. Okay, I'll do one more before I tap out. All right, this will be a pretty short stream. Okay, so please share. Okay, cool. Beats to Infinity says please share. Okay, so I didn't keep notes on this one, so I'm not gonna follow the beats exactly, or maybe I will. Who knows? It'll come out. We'll see how it comes out. So In the beginning of time, in the beginning of civilization, right? In the beginning of civilization, right? If you guys know the four world ages, I theorize this all takes place in Ugachi. Ugachi. Our ancestors break down human history in four ages. Uga, oh my God, I forgot. I'll just say Ugambo, the first Uga, Ugachi, Uganwu, and Ugazi. And typically, any story that takes first place in the first world age, in the first Oga, human beings are going to live in Obi Chukwu. They're going to be light beings, and they're going to have like an excess of magical properties, right? So like, and then he got mad and flew away. It'll be like, oh, okay, that's those folks, right? Ugachi stories are always going to be people organizing themselves, figuring out how things should be, figuring out how things are supposed to be, that type of thing. Ogawa stories are typically going to, how do I put it this way? Ogawa stories are typically going to, they're going to be like changes in rules. So there's already an order and then it changes for some reason. That's something I've noticed, right? It's going to change somehow. Like, so it'll be like, this used to be this way, but then we made it this way because of whatever. So a lot of these stories will be typically be why men took over society from women. Because in Ogachi and Ogambo, the first one, I don't know why I can't remember the name, they were equal. They were equal. And then Oganwu, men began dominating society. And then Ugazi, which is the one we're in now, is going to look like, you might recognize some of the characters, that kind of thing. It's contemporary. I'm interested in all types of folk stories. Awesome. All right. So why men have or women have cycles. So Chukwu created men and women at the same time, right? And he created them pretty equal, or the design was for them to be equal, right? But he noticed that the creature I created that I call man, he's too strong, right? He seems significantly stronger than the woman, right? The man was significantly stronger than the woman, faster than the woman, more powerful than the woman. And Chukwu said this is going to cause a problem, right? So I need to fix this situation. I need to fix this situation. Chukwu realized that the blood he put in men and women was what was giving them strength. They're obviously, right? Their vital energy, their vital power, vital whatever, that kind of thing, right? So he said to decrease the power of men, I'm going to have men menstruate, right? I'm going to have blood come out of the men so that every once a month their power decreases a little bit and things get leveled back out, right? So they can go ahead and be strong, but then comes back, we're level. It's not going to cause too much problems. Equality, balance, equilibrium, right? That type of thing, right? And so Chukwu then said to man and woman, this is the new thing I'm doing. Men, you're going to bleed once a month. You're going to release blood once a month to reduce your power, right? Because you're a little too strong. I made you a little too strong, a little too OP, as you young people say, right? Women, right? You can hang out, do what you do. This is a treat for you. But when men are on their cycles, do not look at them and do not look at specifically the blood coming out. Just don't do that. Right? That's my rule. So that means that whenever this thing happens, men, you got to go hide somewhere and do it. And we'll come back when it's over, right? With your power balanced back out. And so both men and women agreed, right? And they say, Onyekwe, Chiekwe, that kind of thing. So we're all one, right? Now, in this age, at this time, people's genitalia, right, were in their armpits. People's genitals were in their armpits, right? And so the bleeding would come out of the armpit, right? That type of thing. That is why till this day, there's a patch of hair in everybody's armpit. And in this era, when men's cycles would begin, they would run into the bush and hide and make it happen. But women can be very impatient, right? And they didn't want to wait a full 4 days, right? I'm not a gynecologist. I'm not going to say these numbers right. 4 days, 7 days, however long it is. They didn't want to wait that long before they saw their husbands, right? So gradually, women began sneaking into the bush where the men were hiding to have their cycles. And they would peek and look and see what was going on. And the men would lift their armpit. And once women saw the armpit, Chukwu was annoyed. Chukwu was angry. And Chukwu said, I told you not to look when that thing happens and to stay away. And you went anyways. So here's what I'm going to do. Since you're so interested in seeing these cycles, you're going to be the one that has the cycle, right? And to keep this mistake from happening again, I'm going to put people's genitals out of their armpits where it's easy to see and onto their waists where it is hidden by their clothing, right? And I'm going to instruct the men from now on, when your wife, significant other, sister, mother, everybody is on their cycle, stay away and do not look. And that is why, according to these folklores, women have cycles and men don't. Shannon said, all right, so what do you guys think about that one? That one was kind of wild. This is a good book, and I laughed throughout reading it. So yeah. So where people in their armpits, yes, and that's why till this day there's a patch of hair as an artifact of what was once there until it was rearranged to better hide the cycle, the monthly cycle. So, all right, guys, I think we're wrapping up. I think I left you guys speechless with that last story. One of the things about folklores too is that traditionally folklores are told by women, right? Akuko ifo, like these are some wild stories tonight. Yeah, right. I love them. Traditionally, these stories were told by women, right? Any story that is not historically accurate, that is just like a folk tale, make believe, that type of thing, were traditionally told by women. The stories men were expected to tell were stories based once they become men. As a boy, you can do whatever. But once you're acknowledged as a man, the stories you tell are to be true stories, like factual stories, accounts of history, accounts of great battles, things like that, right? And the reason was that once a man is a diulo, right, a diulo, there are prohibitions against him lying and making up things, telling false stories. And that is standard for every man, but is more extreme for titled men. So titled men cannot tell fictitious stories, those types of things. They have to tell the truth at all times, and thus it doesn't allow them to be imaginative and creative. So a lot of these stories come from women, right? If you talk to, I mean, some of you who are only maybe say a generation or so removed from home, or if you're at home right now, if you talk to some of your parents, they'll be like, oh yeah, my grandmother told me this. Oh yeah, my mother told me. You'll kind of notice the pattern, that kind of thing, right? So those are the stories. I was gonna say that the last story sounds like something an auntie would say. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, yeah. So, and I promise there are versions of these stories floating around in diaspora, floating around in the Caribbean, floating around North America, floating around South America, Europe, all that stuff. So, that is it, guys. So, hey, I want to thank you guys for being here and coming. This one is a little different, just me sharing some of these stories. Like I've been reading this book. I actually finished it very fast, anyways. But I've been going back over it and things like that, and I've just been laughing. And I got a whole bunch more to share. There's also stories on the Patreon library. So if you want to go check them out there, for those who are patrons, go ahead and check them out. The next group study we are having on the Patreon is AFA, or let me do this, Introduction to AFA, and that is at patreon.com/Themedicineshell. So Sunday, we're going to be having a group study on AFA. I wish I can pull it out. Oh, it's over there. I don't want to reach for it. After God is Debia. So I've been reading After God is Debia for quite some time now, a couple of months now, and learning how AFA works, how to do AFA. So I'm going to be sharing my knowledge on AFA, how AFA works, how the AFA language, what the different nodes and things like that mean in AFA. We're going to be discussing that in the Patreon or in our group study for patrons only. If you're not able to join the Patreon by this week, if you join at the AZ tier, it's going to be available for replay, so you can watch it whenever you want. And that's for AZ tier only. That being said, joining the Patreon is the number one way to support this channel at patreon.com/Themedicineshell. Patrons have full access to my digital library. So all of the digital documents I use for studying, and there are hundreds of them in there, books, articles, studies, snippets from different things are all packed in there, organized by subject matter and so forth. You also get access to the full lunar calendar. We are now in Onwa Ife, Onwa Ahianjoku, or Ifenjoku. Some people say Ifenjoku, some people say Ahianjoku. This is the harvest moon. We're approaching the harvest moon, right? For some communities, this is harvest. Other communities, the next one is the harvest. The one before was Onwagon, so this was a ritually strong moon. We did Owu in my community for Onwago, the sixth moon. I love Owu. That was one of the things that if it wasn't for Owu, I wouldn't be doing this channel, right? My father blessed us into the Owu society as children, perform what's known as Imam Mo, right? And I've always liked Owu. I didn't know this until he told me later as an adult, because uh, that's how Igbo parents behave. But he told us later that, yeah, you're all blessed in. But I haven't fully joined. But the minute I hit the ground, I'm joining. I'm going to get very active in the OU society. And I'll probably share some of the videos. People have been posting videos of the OU celebration in my community. So I'll probably post some of them as shorts. So if you guys are interested, let me know. I'll share more masquerade stuff on there. Can you make a video on Igbo palm reading? Yes, I can. My great aunt was a palm reader. Yeah, Akaraka. They call it Akaraka, right? And so she was a palm reader. So yeah, I can definitely make a video on that. Scotty, the best way to get me to make a video is recommending it on Patreon, like as a message, or as posting it as a comment under a video, because I take all the comments and whatever's being requested the most, I put it up for vote for the patrons, right? So I may forget otherwise, so go ahead and put it in those places. Also, if you're interested in learning the Igbo language, you can join our Igbo language school at www.kedu.me. Kedu is a fully immersive Igbo language learning program. I've studied how language is acquired over years, and of course I've been on a lifelong quest to learn and master my own Igbo. And what I came to learn was that the way language is typically taught is not how it is actually learned. So we developed a method based off of the ancestral approach to learning, right? Which is following your individuality, following your chi, right? We are going to teach based off of who you are as a person, that type of thing, not just Nketa is dog, all that BS that they typically do, right? So Kedu.me. Right now we are having a session. So Adeze, I know you just came out of the session. Adeze, I don't think you've received your project yet. You're going to be getting your project. I'll send it to you this weekend. There's a couple of other people I need to send their projects, but everybody has a project very unique to them as a person. You have an instructor and you have a coach. Coach is going to call you and just have a conversation with you in Igbo language. Instructor is going to dissect the language piece by piece until after 3 months you're able to speak. But the next session starts in September. So if you want to join a class in Kedu, you can go ahead and reserve a seat now, or you can sign up for a language coach and start whenever, right? So that is Kedu at kedu.me. That being said, I think that's everything I wanted to announce. Oh yeah, and then I do one-to-ones as well. So I used to have an in-house Debia, and then I decided that wasn't the best idea in the world. And so I decided to start doing one-to-ones. A lot of what the DBA was telling people, I could have told them as well. The only difference is I don't do afa. So if you want divination, like a divining reading, palm read, all that stuff, I don't do that. So don't come to me for it, right? I'm not the person for that. And if that's what you want, I won't point you to someone else, but I'll hint ways you can find a DBA that's reliable and all that stuff. Or if you talk to a DBA and you want to verify some of the things you heard, I'm here. So I do one-to-ones, and that is, I have to double check that link. I haven't been there in a minute. People talk /the.com /the medicine shell. Let me see if that's it. Yeah, awesome. All right, yeah. So I do one-to-ones at People Talk /the medicine shell. This is for things like dreams, symbols, how to do this, how to do that, general questions on a more personal level rather than something vague or general, or you don't want to ask a big group. It's all there. Otherwise, I also do one-to-ones for patrons, and that's like significantly discounted. So that being said, uno gade, ngobala no triaka, gade no wa, gade no neke, no nafo, nankwo, ise. You guys take care. This has been great. All right, come on, hand.